So in this tutorial, we are going to look at 10 skills that you require as a project manager. You need to acquire these skills. You also need to sustain them. You need to consolidate and maintain them. So let's get started. Leadership skills, that's what you're going to learn. The next one you're going to learn is communication skills. Also, we're going to look into time management and scheduling, as well as risk management skill as a project manager. The fifth one is going to be on budgeting and financial management. The sixth item is stakeholder management skills. You also need this as a project manager. Then problem solving and critical thinking. This is very important. You need this as a project manager. Number 8, which we are going to learn today, is negotiation and conflict resolution. Number 9, we are going to have technical knowledge and industry expertise. Number 10, the last but not the least, is adaptability and resilience skills. These are very important. Why are we learning these skills? Why do I need them? How am I going to benefit? Who is going to benefit? So there are key benefits of acquiring these skills, and we're going to look into them. Number 1, you're going to have increased project success rate when you acquire these skills. Number 2, we are also going to have enhanced team performance and collaboration. This is very important. You need your team to be collaborating, and that also increases the performance. I've gone through this process. I've seen what benefits you normally get when your team is actually collaborating. Number 3, we have stronger stakeholder and client relationship. This is very important. Some of these skills, they also help you to manage the client, and also expectations within the project. Number 4, we have career growth and also professional recognition. Some of these skills, you go through them by acquiring certifications. That is also good for your career growth and also professional recognition. Number 5, which is very important also, is the decision making. It is quite important that you also do decision making as a project manager. This is very important. So let's start with the first skill, leadership skill. We need to understand first what is leadership. Leadership is actually the ability to guide and motivate a group of people to achieve a common goal. And in this case, the group of people are project stakeholders, including project members, for them to deliver the project. You should be able to inspire, motivate, and also guide project team members. This is very important. They must have confidence in you as a leader. They must be able to listen to you as a leader. They must be able to work towards the same goal. You will be going to be making so many decisions throughout the project. And also, conflict resolution, you cannot avoid it as a project manager. As long as you have team members from different departments, different nationals, different continents, different areas, different backgrounds, there is bound to be conflict amongst the team members. So here I'm just showcasing myself as a project team or project lead or project manager, meeting senior members of the client side. So as a project leader, you also have to work with senior management. Then the next point number 2, or the skill number 2, is communication. Communication allows you to convey information to others clearly and effectively. This may include verbal and non-verbal communication. Of all the skills that we have, the one which I consider the top most important skill you must acquire as a project manager is communication. From my experience, I've realized that if your communication is very good, depending on the level and the audience, you survive more as a project manager than if your communication is very bad. So your communication must be clear and concise, verbal and written communication with all stakeholders. You also must be a very active listening person for you to succeed as a project manager. You must also have ability to tailor communication styles based on audience. I've seen project managers who communicate too much information to an audience which actually does not require this information. So let's look at the effective communication structure. The questions which come into play are: what are you communicating? As a project manager, you must know what you're communicating. It could be because of the stage of the project. It could be something else to do with the end of the stage, or initiation, or there's an exception, or there's something catastrophic that has happened and you want to report that. Also, why are you communicating? This is also very important. There should be an understanding as to why are you communicating that information. Is it required? Is it the right time? So as the project manager, you must be able to know that. When are you supposed to communicate? This is very important. Is it in the morning, afternoon, evening, before meeting, or after meeting? This is very important as a project manager. You should be able to know when are you supposed to communicate. And then where are you going to make the communication? Is it something physical? Are you going to make it online? Are you going to make it in the cloud? Is it going to be video? It depends on the type of communication you have to make. Then who are you communicating to? This is very important. You cannot use the same template of communication to different audience. It might fail to communicate or to push the message, and no one is going to understand what you want to achieve as a project manager. Then how are you going to communicate? Is it verbal? Is it going to be pictorial? Is it going to be video? Is it going to be physical? Are you going to put people in a room? And then you start your communication. Time management is very, very critical as a project manager. You should be able to manage your time. If you cannot manage your time as a project manager, it will be very difficult for you to succeed. So when you talk about time management, you're talking about the ability to plan, organize, and effectively allocate your time to complete tasks and achieve goals. This is very important. So in terms of project management, you also need to be creating and managing project timelines, milestones, prioritizing tasks to ensure efficient resource allocation as well as meeting deadlines, whilst balancing the multiple project demands. So one of the important items used by project managers in time management is the critical path method and also the Gantt chart. So you're able to see what activities, if they are delayed, they are going to affect the project. The next item we have is risk management. On risk management, as a project manager, you should be able to manage risk. Risk is actually the ability to identify, analyze, and effectively respond to potential threats or uncertainties that could impact your project. So there's a possibility of some activity, some event happening which can affect your project. You should be able to identify them, and then you react accordingly or even mitigate against those risks. So there are certain reactions that you can take to a risk. You can either avoid the risk in totality, or you can even reduce the risk as well as manage it, or you can even transfer it to a third party, just to make sure that at least the impact of the risk is not as severe and to in such an extent that it can affect the project. So there's a risk cycle that you also need to practice as a project manager. You should be able to identify the risk, also analyze the risk, a plan for the risk in case it happens. You also need to action, which means you put responsibilities in case the risk happens, and also control the risk. So this is the basic cycle you also need to master as a project manager. Financing and also budgeting. A project manager should be able to budget, should be able to understand the finances. There are some projects which are actually done for the purposes of making profits. So you should be able to manage your project in such a way that you maintain or reduce the expenses so that the profit you're going to get from the project is quite reasonable. So how do we define and understand budgeting and financial management? This is actually a skill that involves creating a spending plan, while financial management is the practice of monitoring and controlling the project finances. This is a very important definition. So from a project point of view, what does it mean? You should be able to manage budgets, ensuring that cost control and also tracking of expenses. There are projects where you have to speak to different vendors, so you have to understand also the financial reporting. You also need to negotiate contracts with vendors, also with suppliers. So if budgeting and financial skills are not very good, it won't be very easy for you as a project manager to go through this process. So we have certain types of costs that we have. The first one being the labor cost, which is also the effort being put into the project, material, whatever material you're using in the project, technology, and also software costs. Administrative and overhead, here we are talking of, for example, hotels, for example, per diems, for example, electricity, phone bills. These are all administrative. I'm going to leave a link below in the description section of this video where you can download a free checklist on how to become a project manager. So the next one is stakeholder management. Managing stakeholders has never been easy as a project manager, but you have no option. There's no project you're going to run without a stakeholder. So what is a stakeholder? A stakeholder is any person or any entity that has got interest in the project. So when it comes to stakeholder management skills, we are referring to the ability to effectively identify, understand, engage, and also maintain positive relationship with individuals or group of individuals who have an interest in the project. Those are what we are defining as stakeholders. Also, stakeholders, you must be able to have engaging and influencing project stakeholders at all levels, whether it's a project member, is a supplier, is a vendor, project board member, or even regulatory. You should be able to engage and work with them during the start and the end of the project. Also, handling stakeholder expectation to align with project goals. This is very important. It's called stakeholder management. They expect specific information, specific updates, specific progress. So you should always make sure that they're always updated on what is going on with the project. You also need to manage the communication between teams, even executives and client. Then there are three main types of project stakeholders. The first one being business. These ones, they have a business perspective. They represent the business, why the project was done. Are you going to achieve what has been defined in the project's business case? Then we have customers or users. These are the end users or the group of people that are going to use the end products of the project. So we call them customers or users. These are the ones who are going to certify the results of the project. They're going to confirm the benefits of the project. Normally, supplier is a stakeholder who is going to provide services to make sure the end product is completed. Some they want to call them vendors. So you find that customers and suppliers, there could be many. But in most projects that I've run, you look for a senior supplier or senior customer. A project manager should be able to do problem solving and critical thinking. I've been in the project field for some time. You'll find that most of the members, they come to you either with options for you to make a decision and choose, or even with a problem, no solution, and they're expecting you to give them the solution. So you must have the critical thinking skills, which refers to the ability to analyze information, evaluate different perspectives, and also develop logical solutions to challenges that you might experience in a project. So what is required here? You must be quick in terms of analyzing situations and making informed decisions. Applying logical approaches to solve unexpected project challenges also is very important, and also to adapt to changing project conditions while it's maintaining progress. As you can see from this picture, I was talking to one of the project members who had come to me to request a solution, and we were discussing a number of options that were available before we made the final decision. As the project manager, you should be able to negotiate and resolve a lot of conflicts. There is no way you're going to run a project with so many stakeholders or members from different nationals, from different countries, different continents, different regions, different companies, different departments. There is also bound to be conflicts within the members. So when this happens, as a project manager, you should be able to resolve them. Otherwise, that is going to derail the progress and also the goals of the project. So once you're able to resolve conflicts as a project manager, you'll find that there's harmony and there's progress. Everyone is pulling in the same direction as a project. So what is a project negotiation and conflict resolution? This refers to the ability to effectively communicate and interact with others to reach a mutual agreement solution when facing disagreements or differing interests. You need to resolve disputes among team members or external vendors. Also, balancing stakeholder demands whilst keeping project objectives intact and ensuring agreements on scope, budget, and also timelines in terms of even quality, even in terms of risks. This is very, very important in terms of milestones. These are also very important items. Then, as a project manager, you're expected to have the technical knowledge and industry expertise. It's not very easy for you to manage a project where you don't have a background knowledge or expertise. You might miss some of the very important activities, or people might mislead you in the wrong direction. So what does it mean? Technical knowledge is specialized knowledge and skills needed to perform tasks using tools and programs. Industry expertise is the knowledge of a specific industry and its clients. So why do you need this? From a project perspective, you need to be very familiar with project management methodologies. For example, the Agile, Waterfall, Prince 2, PM Book, Hybrid. You should be able to understand this. What does it mean? How can you use it to help to deliver a project? You also need to be proficient in the project management tools. For example, the Microsoft Project, Trello, Asana, or Jira. These skills, you can acquire them as you move as a project manager. Understanding technical requirements specific to the project industry is also very, very important. So in this slide, I'm showing you one of the tools that we use for project planning. It's called Microsoft Project Tool. As you can see from the tool, I have a template that I normally use when I'm doing my project planning. It has got planned completion, where you're supposed to be, actual completion, what you have completed so far, and it also shows you the deviation. Then the task that you're supposed to complete, duration in terms of time, then the baseline also in terms of start and end date, current start date and current finish date. So baseline, when you baseline your project plan in Microsoft Project, it will auto-populate these dates for you. So this is very important. At any given moment, you go to your plan, it shows you how far have you deviated. If the task was supposed to have been started, how far have you deviated from the original plan? So this is a tool you also need to know. It's one of the common tools that you find being used by project managers. So the last but not least is adaptability and resilience. As a project manager, you must adapt to different situations, no matter how difficult it might be. You must also be able to rise and start again, what is called resilience. So what is adaptability and resilience? We are talking of the ability to change or adjust to new situations, while resilience is the ability to recover from difficulties. As a project manager, you always face some setbacks. So when you face these setbacks, it's not a train smash. You don't need to panic. You need to go back, relook, pick the lessons, relook at the situation, replan, strategize, act again, and push the project to move forward. So from a project perspective, we're talking of handling of project setbacks without losing focus. You always find some setbacks. Some suppliers might come out of the contract. You might even lose staff members due to other reasons, maybe greener pastures, death, or anything else. It's a setback. So you need to start again and move forward so that you don't lose focus and the intention of completing the project. You also adjust your plans quickly to respond to unseen changes. Otherwise, if you don't adjust, it will be overtaken by event and those plans will become irrelevant. You also need to maintain composure under pressure to keep teams motivated. This is one of the skills I've been polishing from my end to make sure that even if I'm under pressure, I don't allow that pressure to cascade to my team members. I actually absorb the pressure, but still motivate the team to continue working so that at the end of the day, the project attains or achieves its expected objectives. So in conclusion, what are we saying? We are saying as a project manager, you must have these skills for delivering successful projects. If you don't acquire these skills, it will be very difficult for you as a project manager to be successful. And a great project manager is a leader, strategist, and also problem solver. I've seen some project managers who do not want to involve themselves if there's a problem, if there's an issue, they try to avoid or to delegate. That is a recipe for disaster. As a project manager, you should be able to lead the team. You should be able to strategize on what needs to be done. You should also be able to solve problems as a project manager. These skills not only benefit projects, but also open doors for career advancement into senior management roles like program manager or even director of projects. So you need to perfect, you need to maintain and sustain these skills. Then as a project manager, you should be continuously learning. There's going to be new technologies. There's going to be new tools, best practice. They're also going to be changing over time. So if you're not learning as a project manager, it will be very difficult for you to cope up with the kind of results that are expected when you're managing a project. So my final thoughts on this as a project manager or project management skills is that the best project managers are those who continuously learn, adapt, and lead, ensuring long-term success in both projects and careers. So my next video is going to be on qualifications and certification for project managers. You can check for that video on my channel in a week or 2 weeks' time. We have reached the end of this video. I hope you have enjoyed the video and also have learned some concepts on how to become a project manager throughout the video. If you want me to create another video based on any of the sections or the topics that we have covered in this video, let me know in the comment sections.